to you, Hassan, for your presentation.
No, thank you very much, Sadie. That was very kind of you to say those kind words. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, but it's going to be very relevant, and I think you'll find it very useful and a great starting points for questions too. So let's get into it. So statistical business register from a dissemination perspective. And here's our table of contents. We're basically going to do the overview of this statistical business register, the coverage of it, how is this statistical business register constructed, and we'll talk about a key concept, statistical entities, because the business register was created and we have a hierarchy based on the data that's available. So we'll talk in more detail when we get there, but you have to understand that this is a statistical register, but it is a census of all businesses across Canada. We're going to talk about the data quality and its limitations. We'll talk about reference periods and classifications, methodology and the key variables for aggregate statistics, and I believe this is what the community uses. We have products and services, so we have that Canadian Business Counts data, which we're really going to highlight here today. The BR microdata, which is available to federal, provincial, and territorial entities, but we are mentioning because we can show you an example of how people are using it. And then we also have a service of NAICS requests, so any business in Canada can send a request to have to know their NAICS on the business register. So who are some of our clients? And also we'll give you an example that we're in the media all the time. We'll give you a really good example and show that to you. And then we'll close with the data service centers, so the InfoStats and Amanda's group. Okay, so let's get into the first slide here. So we're in the overview here. The context is, what is this statistical business register? Well, the statistical business register is StatCan's central repository for information on businesses and institutions operating in Canada. As a statistical register provides a list of units and related attributes required for survey sampling, frames the data integration, stratification, and certain business statistics. So our base attributes are the NAICS, North American Industry Classification System, which we'll talk about. The geography, we'll talk about that as well. Income and employment, and statistical structures, another important concept. So it's an up-to-date, unduplicated list of businesses in Canada with the T2, the PD7, which is the payroll deduction, and then they have GST, HST accounts, the T5013 corporation account, the T3010 registry charity account, and individuals report on the various types of businesses' income on personal income tax forms, the T1, which we're all familiar with, and also including the statistical business register, whether they pay GST, HST, or PD are on PD7. All right. So what's the coverage of this statistical business register? It's basically all businesses engaged in producing goods and or services in Canada. So that would include corporations, sole proprietorships, partnerships. Can everyone hear me okay? I just want to make sure that the sound is coming through nice and clean. Yes, I got a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Partnerships, governments, nonprofit organizations, agricultural operations, and trusts. So quite comprehensive. How is the statistical business register constructed? It's basically an administrative base using Canada Revenue Agency information. So one of the primary key identifiers in this register is the business number, registration file, complemented by the PD7, employment numbers from payroll deduction filers, revenue and assets from the corporate tax filers, the T2, sales from GST registrants, so GST, and individual tax filers reporting business income with the BN on the T1, individual tax filers reporting income without the BN on T1, and other tax filers such as partnerships and charities. So what are other valued activities that we do at StatCan? Well, we have profiling activities. So they basically, from a statistical point of view, build the legal and operating structures. And it's a group dedicated within the business register program. And they perform these activities on a daily basis to ensure that the highest quality of data is available for the users internally. And also we have a dissemination product, microdata, that's used externally. So we also have industrial and other classifications. We mentioned the NAICS. which is the primary one, and creation of collection entities to support data collection. So this is where this hierarchy and statistical units comes to play that we'll talk about very shortly. So here's a nice little visual of how we build from the CRA administrative data. We put it through a QA process, ingest the files, put it through a QA process. We have a statistical process that we process the information, integrate it, and then create the statistical business register. These are easy steps to see on a screen, but there's a lot of people involved and a lot of effort is put into place to make this the highest quality possible. All right, so here's the key concept here, statistical entities. So these are basically StatCan classifies records based on the level of information available, okay? So the enterprise is a legal operating entity on the top of the operating structure, and there's only one enterprise per operating structure. It's associated with a complete set of financial statements, okay? So very key to understand. Establishment is under an enterprise, and it's a statistical establishment. It's a production entity or the smallest grouping of production entities that produce a homogeneous set of goods or services, doesn't cross provincial boundaries, provides data on the value of output together with the cost of principal intermediate inputs used, along with the cost and quality of labor resources used to produce the output. Sorry for reading verbatim, but it's just something that I want to make sure that that it's completely understood. And the last statistical unit, which is the lowest level, is a location level. And this location is an operating entity, specifically a production entity that conducts economic activity at or from a single physical location or group of locations, and it provides employment data at a minimum. So the data element is there, that it provides employment data. There is actually in the presentation, in the notes, there's even more explanation just to give you some further context. But we'll go to the next slide and we can, maybe answer some questions in the question period as well. All right, so, although our base is really good and very useful for many people across the country, there are data quality limitations. So one of the biggest things is the time series. The business register is not longitudinal. The reason is the changes to the SBR methodology or to business industry classification strategies can cause increases or decreases in the number of active businesses. As a result, the data does not represent changes in the business population over time. Statistics Canada recommends that users not use the data as a time series for that reason. So to view recent methodological changes, please refer to the data variations, and this is an actual hyperlink, which I'll take you to. Let me just select it here. Okay, can you see this website?
Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. Well, thank you for answering. So basically, this is our website where it's considered the user guide. There's a link in here later to this website as well, and many other times we're going to come visit this page. But basically, our methodological changes are here. So you can read here, and every certain amount after a certain time frame, we update information up here. So it tells you what the methodology. We have NAICS changes as well, different versions that are released at set intervals. So this is where you can find that information. I'll go back to the presentation. There we go. And then next item here is creations. So another synonymous, it's synonymous with birth. Generally, the creation of an entity on the SBR, the Statistical Business Register, occurs shortly after the business registers with the Canadian Revenue Agency, so CRA. The business number registrations are used to update the SBR base monthly, and businesses with multiple locations may also be contacted or profiled by our internal group to obtain necessary information for the creation of the operating entity, so the establishments and those locations. Okay, and then inactivations. So you might see a business that closes on the street today. However, we keep it active until they stop reporting tax information. So, for example, if you saw that business close in March, because they have January, February, and March of the calendar year where they report taxes, they would stay on our base until we got a signal that it's actually ceased providing tax information or filing yearly taxes. So I put a link here for the there's another group in StatCan who does the monthly estimates of business openings and closures. I won't go to the website here, but you can go. The link is active when you get the copy of the presentation, and you can take a closer look. I have an iteration of November 2024. I believe there's December has been released as well now, so you can see what the latest and greatest is. And there's a lot of information on how it's produced. Okay. The next is the North American Industry Classification System. So this is primarily how we classify in USA, in Canada, and Mexico. We've harmonized how we report industries. So for newly created businesses, the primary industrial coding is initially processed using automated coding software. And then this software evaluates the activity description that they've entered, indicated by the businesses, and assigns the appropriate industry classification coding to about 50% of the new business records. Activity descriptions lacking precision are then subjected to a manual coding process. So we really spend time to make sure that we have the highest quality possible. I am going to go to the North American Classification System. It's on our website here. And what I'm going to do quickly is just go there. So the NAICS will be here. And basically, we have another link here that actually takes you even deeper if you want to compare NAICS between the version changes that have happened over the time frame. We'll talk about the reference and the NAICS periods as well when the classifications change. But these are definitely areas you can go to look to see from our website what exactly you need to look at, okay, regarding the NAICS. All right, so I'll come back to the presentation. Okay, good. And then I'll click it here, and then reference periods and classifications. So we have data with employees from 1988 to the present, and without employees, 1997 to the present. So we do, even though we don't have a time series, we do have snapshots in time dating back to the start and end dates of the data. Industry classification, we used to have the SIC. That changed in 2004, and now we have a new NAICS version every 5 years that started in 1997. So we have NAICS versions 2012, which is active as of December 2012, and NAICS 2017. So you can see the time frame here, and then NAICS 2022 is the present one that we're using today. In the geography, we have a standard geographical classification, and this is renewed every census, so every 5 years. You can see SGC 2011 when it came into effect, 2016, 2021, and coming soon is SGC 2026 when we start the census in May.
Hassan,
yes,
if you don't mind.
No, sure.
Asking that, how would an officeless company like Automatic be classified by location? Is it a tax filing location?
Yeah, so it depends on the information that they're providing. So what we would offer them, they would send us a letter and we would give them what their NAICS is on the BR. And it depends on what kind of information they have. So most often, depending if it's a simple business, the enterprise is the only entity that exists. So they'll have the NAICS for their enterprise. So we'll go by the name that they provide us. Does that help you? And then the locations and establishment would be established. If there's a more complex company where they have a headquarters, I'm giving you an analogy, but this is not exactly how it always works for everyone. But the enterprise could be equated to a head office, and then you could have establishment that would provide additional financial information, that we're looking for, or it's manufacturing a good or it's providing a service. And then the location would be actually the actual delivery of that product or service. So kind of, if you want to look at enterprises, McDonald's establishment could be like the head office, and then you would have locations of all the McDonald's across Canada. And again, too, this is not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, the question I'm asking for this one here is because you have companies like Automatic, which are famous for having zero real estate. They are basically a completely web-based infrastructure well, they do WordPress, so they're a web infrastructure company, but they have zero office space whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we would basically take in the automated process, and if the description is lacking, then we would have manual. So that company would get a call if they didn't get automated. Does that fully answer your question, or?
Yeah, so it basically goes by tax jurisdiction at that point.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that question. That's a really good question. Okay, so let's go on to the next here. So now let's talk about the methodology. So here we have for the aggregate and Canadian business counts. So we don't give the full universe. What we do is we take the statistical business register and we apply conditions to it. In order to qualify for the Canadian business counts and also to be a part of the aggregates, you have to be an active business. So revenue, asset, employer, and you have to be Canadian. And you have one or more employees. So one or more employees in this context, a sole proprietor would be one employee, if that's what you have. Okay. Very important to understand because that definition changes when we talk about employee size range. Then the condition is, or it has a minimum of 30,000 in revenue. It could be taxable or not, or it's incorporated. Okay. So it has to meet active and one of those three criteria. Then we have edits and imputation. We have employment, revenue, and geography that we apply. The geography has been updated, borders have been updated. We select and create the variables consisting of the variables that have already been predetermined. And then we create the statistical business register universe file for aggregate statistics in the Canadian business counts. Okay, here we go. So what are the key variables for the aggregate data? Well, again, it's the North American Industry Classification System. We use it to classify the economic activity of a business from 2 to 6-digit code. 2 to 6 is a little misleading. Actually, we only publish it. We don't publish the 5 level, but we do 2, 3, 4, and 6. Okay, and 6 is your most granular. And I'll show you an example on the CBC counts when we get there regarding aluminum, which has been a hot topic these days. The NAICS is also based on supply or production-oriented principles to ensure that the industrial data classified to NAICS are suitable for the analysis of that production-related issues such as industrial performance. Okay, this link is going to take you to that same website, and also you can go more granular and get more details and actually download a concordance table between the NAICS versions if you do want to perform that type of activity. The next big part is your geography. So that standard geographical classification based on the census and the geography that we inherit all that geography within StatCan. And it's the StatCan's official classification for the geographical areas in Canada. So it was developed to facilitate the analysis of statistical data using a uniform geographical area definition. It defines various geographical areas that function as stratification variables for statistical units, such as locations, and we talked about enterprise establishments, which are essential for analysis, data collection, and compilation. Okay, so I'll take you to the website here, and we'll talk about, you can see, and the website is very comprehensive and talks about the geography here. So again, it reiterates what we just discussed, but it also gives you what geographical classification and the areas that are available. So, province and territory, everyone's familiar with that. Census division, census subdivisions, or something. There's clear definitions. Same with clear classification. So you can read up on those specific ones. Another popular one that we're going to talk about today is a CMA, which is considered a municipality from a larger perspective, and the census subdivision would be a subset of that. So let's talk about Ottawa. We have the CMA of Ottawa. Within the CMA of Ottawa, you'll have Canada, Orleans, other suburbs or other CSDs, like census subdivisions. So I'll actually show a prime example of this later on here. We'll do a demo with the Canadian Business Counts, which is what we really want to highlight today. Okay. Perfect. So then we also have employee size ranges and revenue. So let me go back to that website here. And we'll talk about revenue ranges, because remember that concept of having one employee in order to qualify to become part of the building universe, the business registry universe, excuse me. We have a building register database as well, so I'm confusing the two, but business register. So we have employment size. So when we talk about a breakdown of, it's called employee size range 9, so it means 9 categories. You'll see a 0 here. So 0 without employees. That actually would be a sole proprietor, would be classified as a 0 here. Okay. And then you'll have employee size range 13. So you can see 13 categories here, and you can see 21 categories if you want that breakdown. Okay. There are some caveats here as well. Locations without employees include the self-employed, those who maintain an employee payroll but workforce that consists of contractor workers, family members, or business owners. So we give you some more precision here. And they also include employers who didn't report employees in the last 12 months, because it is a snapshot of time when we do take it. And there are conditions around here that you should be aware of, that the BR employment data should be used with caution. The reason is that we select the second highest monthly value from the last 12 months. And so that it's ordered in order to reduce volatility for survey sampling. So that's the methodologist's way of stabilizing that sampling. So, but we do want to be upfront and share that, be wary that this could have an impact on the actual final numbers. Okay. And then we talked about revenue. Revenue is right here at the end. Right, just a small little part. Now, revenue is not available. It's only available under certain conditions, and we'll talk about that conditions and what aggregate product we have with the revenue. It's at an aggregated level, so you can identify a business, but revenue means what revenue means, as we all know it. Okay, so I'll come over here, revenue ranges, so you can see the ranges here. So let's talk about the Canadian business counts, and then we'll talk about the aggregated data in detail. So what is this Canadian business count? You have an understanding of what the conditions were and what is a universe of those. And we take a snapshot every June and December that we released in August and February at the location level only. Okay, that's a statistical unit that is used in the business counts. This product can be used to compare the number of businesses across NAICS categories, employment size ranges, provinces, territories, CMAs, and the census subdivisions within them, as well as LCSDs in Canada with 10 or more active businesses with employees. The following data tables are also available to the public on the StatCan website, where you have business location count with employees for Canada by province, NAICS category, and employment size range. Business location counts without employees for Canada by province and NAICS category, and business location counts with employees by CMA, CSD, NAICS category, and employment size range. And the limitation on that, and I'll give you a demo of this, is by NAICS 4 on that one. So it'll be clearer once I give you this demo. So let me go to the website for the CBC, and by the magic of television, I've already gone there. I have it available on the web here. Okay, Canadian. So I'm going to take you to the splash page. So every time we have a release, we have a splash page. It's published in the daily. It's a StatCan publication. And that we are going to look at the Canadian Business Council of employees. The last and latest and greatest iteration is December 2024. We'll look at the one with employees, without employees. And then we'll also look at the Canadian Business Council with employees, CMAs, and census subdivision. And I'll show you some filtering that you can, cater things down. And this is absolutely free publicly. Okay. So let's go to, I believe I have employees here. Perfect. So let's do accounts total with employees. I won't break it down. I'll go to a specific NAICS, which is the aluminum production. 313. You can type it in by NAICS, or you can actually, if I could type in aluminum and get the same results. Okay, and then they would actually give you more results at the NAICS. Here, why don't I do that so you can see it? alumina. So you can see it now when I'm just putting alumin, you're going to see NAICS 4, NAICS 6, and then you'll see anything matching with that root word. Okay, so but we want to go to NAICS 6 here. Okay, you'll hit apply, and that will be your total by province for this specific NAICS. So in primary production of aluminum and alumina, this is your business count. In Quebec, it's 16, 10 Ontario. So you can see that Quebec and Ontario really carry the bulk of the production. And then I'll take you to without employees. Open link in new tab here. And again, I'll do the same industry, 331, 313. Okay. And I did it from scratch so you could follow along and actually do it yourself. So you know exactly what steps. And I think you would appreciate it once I do the CMA demo here. Okay, so the primary production of alumina without employees, you'll see the numbers. We have only 1 in Quebec, and Ontario there's 11. Probably contract workers. I mean, you cannot produce aluminum without having someone helping you out. You can have a sole proprietor producing aluminum. So, okay, and then we'll go back here to this final one. And I believe I actually have it for you because I wanted to, you know what? I'm just going to go, here we go. Okay, so this is now with employees, census, CMAs, and census subdivision. So we want to get, first of all, you got to hone down your industry. So 331, 313. Oh, it's only 4-digit. That's right. So this is the highest level you can go is at the 4-digit. The reason is it would be so many records. It would be too much for the website. So we decided for the CMAs and all the CSDs, if we're going to include them, the max we can go is 4-digit names. But it's still going to be very useful, and you'll see it. So I'll go here and I'll hit apply. Now that I've selected and honed down the industry that we want to target, okay, I can now go to add remove data. Okay, with add remove data, I can pick a specific geography. So why don't we try something? We'll pick the CMA of Toronto, okay, and we'll pick all the CSDs. So now we are going to have results with employees for this industry at NAICS 4 for this geographical area that I've selected. So all of the census subdivisions of Toronto. Employment size is going to be total with employees. That's what we offer on this page. The NAICS we've already selected, and then reference period is going to be the December 2024. So that I'm going to hit apply. Oh, forgive me, I forgot to do something. Geography. I gotta pick 33113 filter. I just did it today. Okay, well let's geography. So the NAICS is 3313. Filter. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, now we can hit apply. And you'll get the counts by each census subdivision. So Pickering has 2 of that 32 that Toronto has. Okay, so that's just a quick demo. And again, too, that you've seen the conditions, you've seen the web page. We've tried a couple of examples. So it's just something that you'll have all the links inside the presentation when we supply it to you. So please feel free to go in, and you can actually download it too. Oh, sorry about that. I should show you the download quickly. Whatever you pick, then you can have download options, and we have CSV specifically. And you can download it and use it and load it up into your databases. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. Okay. So you can actually find all the iterations of the CBC data product from the link above or through the web browser, and you can just go to Google or any search engine of your choice. and just put Canadian business counts. And prior to a certain time frame, and I should share that with you. I'll give you that detail. There's a Canadian business pattern. So before it became Canadian business counts, we were publishing the Canadian business patterns for if you want to look at things historically. All right, so now we're going into the aggregated data tables and what's publicly available. So we get clients in cities, municipalities are coming to us for the aggregated data. We have people, private sector as well, academia. So basically this is our offerings that are publicly available. It's all been approved by our chief statistician under discretion disclosure orders, which allows us to share this information, and things may go under suppression or rounding. Even though we're allowed to give it out, we do apply rules to it. So let's talk about employment size range, which is very popular, one of the most popular. It's location, establishment, or enterprise counts that are allowed. Geography will give you all geography, all level of NAICS of your choice. You can pick any of the size ranges from 9, 13, or 21. So basically, the higher you go, the more category breakdown. And we have no suppression or rounding on this data. Okay. Then we have profit and non-profit. It's available from December iterations only. Establishment counts at the province level at NAICS 2 only, and there'll be suppression applied to it if any company is identifiable. Revenue ranges is another one, which is location, establishment, or enterprise, so any statistical unit level, the geography, province, and census agglomeration, CA or CMA, and it's only at the NAICS 2 and 3. So, and we will be rounding to the nearest 5 counts. So if you have a count of 1, you'll be seeing a 0. If you see a count of 3, it'll be a 5. Okay. And business type in public and private data. And again, once again, only December. It's enterprise counts, province and CMA, and NAICS 2, and there's suppression applied. Okay, and I think Michael, would you like to show your table now, or at the end to leave time for questions? Or
I could do it quickly now. I thought it'd be a good idea to show what the community data program has in its catalog for the Canadian business counts. I'll share what I have. So everyone can see my screen? Yeah, so if you're interested, I'll just show quickly how you would access Canadian business counts through our website. You can get to the catalog page just by clicking on Find Data, and that would bring you here. Just the easiest way to find Canadian business counts is just to search for it under the product group. And you can always just start typing it in. If I just type in business, then it's going to give you all the various entries that have Canadian business counts. You click on the link. And it's always good to read the description to find out a little more about the data product. This is something I'll deal with when I show you what sort of an example of the file. We get the file in beyond 2020 format, but if you've used this, then I'm assuming everyone is familiar with our catalog. You select the geography that you're interested in, add it to the cart, and then you eventually receive a download link to get the file. When you get the file, it may open looking something like this. Recently, I've seen that this is more recent files where the geography, the default display for the geography is using the SGC code. So this is for census agglomerations and census metropolitan areas. And if I change the label on here by clicking this button, you can see this is for St. John's, Grand Falls, Windsor, Gander. But you might open the file and it looks like this, just showing you the unique identifier. And one of the reasons why I think we're getting it like that now is we used to get the data looking like this. The default was displaying just the English name. If I grab this dimension and bring it down here, that could be a bit confusing because you start here with all the census agglomerations and census metropolitan areas, and then down below these are where the census tract data is stored. But the census tracts don't have an English name, and so they're blank. So if you change the label, then you can see it's giving you all of the different census tracts listed by their unique identifier. So with more recent files, it just starts with the unique identifier being shown. If I scroll down, then you can see it. The census data, the census tract level data listed there. So we get data from Canadian business counts at both the location and at the establishment level, for locations and establishments. And then that'll be crossed by NAICS classification and number of employees. And in our tables, the locations or enterprises without employees are just in the same table as those with employees. Yeah, so that's just a quick summary of how you would get the data from our catalog, what it looks like. I wanted to also just share really quickly a couple of examples of how some of our members have used the data. You know, I didn't. I'll just share maybe some links in the chat if you're interested. This first one is from the Workforce Development Board for Peterborough, Northumberland, Kawartha Lakes, and Haliburton. And this is, I mean, just typical use of it just to kind of give an indication of what are some of the top sectors in the region, top sectors with employees, without employees, and here you see it sort of broken down by a fairly high level NAICS classification. But of course, you can always dig into these a little more with the raw data that go down to the 6-digit level. And then I think they go on to, you know, break this out similarly by, so that was for their whole region, and this is just for Peterborough, same sort of thing, looking at the top sectors and then breaking it out a little bit. You know, we've also seen business counts used from some of our members just to do feasibility studies. People are interested in knowing how many businesses are, you know, a potential investor in a region is interested in knowing how many similar businesses are in the region. Is there going to be much competition? This is another example, State of the Basin report produced by Selkirk Innovate at Selkirk College. You know, and just really, just give a quick overview. You know, here they're just describing the total number of businesses and go into, you know, the different types of businesses in each of their separate regions. You know, it's worth noting I was speaking with the contact who publishes the State of the Basin report and had been looking at number of businesses without employees in British Columbia, and noticed a somewhat significant difference in the counts provided by British Columbia and provided by Statistics Canada. And that's because in BC, the BC statistics provider publishes for businesses without employees, they include businesses with less than $30,000 a year revenue, whereas, as was mentioned earlier, the cutoff to be included in Canadian business counts is to have revenue of $30,000 a year. So I just really quickly wanted to share that with you. I'll let you get back to the presentation and show you what we have in our catalog.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. It's really nice to see how people are using the data, and it's really, I really appreciate that. So let me get back.
It is one, just as a side note, how people are using the data. This product, Canadian Business Counts, always ranks in our top 10 of data products that are downloaded. It's quite well used amongst our members.
Excellent. Yeah, and just to let you know too, that software that you demoed is called Beyond 2020, and it's something that the census uses. And we've adopted it to the StatCan software because it can handle a large amounts of data, and you can quickly customize it. It's very quick. So we have limitations in Excel. You can only go to a certain amount, a couple 100,000, I think, is the limit. But with Beyond 2020, we have not hit a limit yet. So, and we have a lot of data to share in this aggregate, and that's why we use it. So it takes there's a little learning curve, but well worth the time. Okay.
We do have resources on our website for learning how to use Beyond 2020 while we're talking about it.
Excellent. No, that's great. Okay. So I'll go to the next slide here. Thanks very much, Michael. So then we also have our cost recovery program we're continuing to talk about is the business register microdata. So basically, we are able to give under the discretion disclosure order approved by the chief statistician for federal, provincial, and territorial departments or agencies microdata. So that information would include information about the legal operating structure, or their address, lat long data. And other key attributes, NAICS and things like that. So it's very specific. And with the location information, what I have is a link here. I won't go into it, but basically Bank of Canada is one of our clients, and they have produced this aggregated output where how far do Canadians need to travel to access cash? So how far is your ATM to you? So I just included this just so that to let you know that we have this service, number one, and the other part to it is that who it's limited to, and also to the how are people using it. So you can really, when you get a chance, take a look. It's well worth the visit. We also have data matching service, so we'll match statistical identifiers from a file to the statistical business register under certain conditions. That it must be for statistical and research purposes, and then again, the only people that would qualify for this type of information would be federal, provincial, and territorial departments, unfortunately. But it's vital data that people are using actively. So then the NAICS request is the next service where businesses can obtain their NAICS code on the statistical business register, by sending a request. Okay. And then we have our client list here, just to give you a heads up and understanding that the federal government departments would include NRCan, HRSDC, Service Canada, Industry Canada, Bank of Canada, and there are others. Provincial government departments, we have focal points. We have actual statistical agencies or entities that operate at the provincial level, and we provide them data to the point of tax data and revenue for their use in the province, and they're limited to only have data for that province. Okay. We also have a really good program called the Data Liberation Initiative. It's participating post-secondary schools. We have 75 up to this point, where they pay a fee annually, and when their students come to us for research, we will provide them the aggregated data to help them out. We also have through our regional offices, we get requests for aggregate data from consulting firms, research firms, cities, etc. And in the media, we are in the form of media requests asking to verify business counts or asking for business count data on a particular subject. So that it's a good segue into our next one is in the media. So we are published in, you name the publication, we're in there. I do have an actual article, just quickly, just to give you context on what we're verifying. So it's basically, here we go. It's right here, and then how to say cheese. There it is. Okay. So in here in this article, there are numbers from other parts of StatCan, but we would be really highlighting, the numbers that there are, in December 2023, there were 6 times as many photographic service businesses without employees, 10,028 as there were with employees. So this industry is really full, one individual being the photographer and being the whole business or being the whole service. So that's just a quick example, and again, that link is in there. There's other articles you can see through this link, StatCan Plus, that you can take a look. All right, go back to the presentation. All right, and then the next one is, so we also include some useful links. So the Business Register Data Product User Guide, that's been the core website that I've been going back to, giving you all that information and just, going over the explanation of it. And I think there's another really good one, intercorporate ownership. It's not actually done by our program. However, we do have another division within StatCan, and I think it's really worth noting, and it's very useful website. And intercorporate ownership. So you can actually search by a business name, and you can actually go and see who the ownership, and you can see all the filters here on the left-hand side. But I'm going to show you an example. Restaurant Brands International, for those that trade on the TSX, it's the ticker is the QSR, and they're basically American-owned, but they own Burger King, Popeyes, what's the Firehouse Subs, and Tim Hortons. So they operate, you can see the country of control is the USA, they reside in the USA, the parent, the enterprise. And then if you break it down here, we have control in the USA, but we have operations in Canada. And then under Restaurant Brands International, and then you can see, it can get quite complicated because these are very complex and large businesses, but you can see Burger King is here. And if you go further down, you can see the rest of them. But basically, it's a really good website to refer to see foreign ownership. And I think it could be very useful for you if you have some other research projects. Okay, and it's completely free and downloadable as well. Okay, so that link is in there for you.
And we have just a heads up that we have only 10 minutes left to the end of the
actually, I'm on my last slide. So this is great, and we can leave that all for questions. So about the Data Service Center. So you're very familiar with Amanda's group and basically what the services the data center offers. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can contact me at 1-800 number or email them at infostat. Amanda, do you want to add anything quickly before we move on to question period?
Just a quick hello. So yeah, I know a lot of you would deal directly with Mike regarding the community data program, so continue to do that. And if you have any questions that are outside the scope of the program, we're here to help you. So have a great afternoon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Amanda.
And that's basically the presentation. We have some other useful links in here, and then this is our closeout. So question period away, and I can stay longer if need be. No problem.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hassan, for the presentation. It was very informative, and we will post the recording and the presentation slides on the Community Data Program webinar page in the coming days. If you have any questions, we have around 10 minutes, and then we will stay a bit longer if you have more questions, but please post it in the chat box or use the raise button and unmute your device to ask your question. And in the meantime that you are preparing your question or writing in the chat box, I would like to kind of mention our next week's webinar, which is our annual Community Data Program orientation. This is a link to that, so please register if you are new to the program or need a refresher. We go through the program, the membership style, the kind of how to find the data, the same kind of things that Mike briefly presented to you. So that would be more comprehensive, and the Beyond 2020 and the Tableau. And we have a Q&A session at the end of it. So it's a 1 hour and a half, and we'll we want to make sure that cover any questions you have for the community data program. Also, we have a very exciting event in May 8th and 9th in Thunder Bay. That's a learning and networking event. And it's a great opportunity for you to connect, learn, and know more about the community data initiatives. We have a Statistics Canada presentation about the rural and small places data initiatives at StatScan. We have some presentation about how to monitor the community impact of trade disruptions, artificial intelligence, and CDP members presentation on how they use community data. And then the deadline for the hotel booking with the reduced rate is April 24th. Great. So we have a person kind of raising their hand. So if you would like to unmute your devices and ask your question, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for the presentation, Hassan. So my question is, since you're with StatScan, my name is Indra Ray. I'm with the City of Calgary. Sorry, apologies. I did forget about the introduction bit. So yeah. So my question is, I know this seminar, this session was around like business counts and like how it is categorized into NAICS, but like, is there a similar database at the occupation level? And that is my first question with StatScan. And is there a way that you can cross-tab occupation and industry in some way?
No, that's a really good question. We do have surveys that look at job vacancy and see what vacancies are open based on the knock. So we do have that, but we have not. Sebastian, maybe there's some other additional guidance that we can give Indro, try to help him. But that's the only one that I know of at StatCan that we're dealing with on the Knox front, and we don't really do anything on the SBR regarding that. We just look at them, payroll deductions and how many employees, the counts of employees.
Yeah, exactly, Hassan. So our program is mostly the business register, so it's focused on all the businesses in Canada, and we create different stratification variables, and we maintain different stratification variables for surveys, but also we create those counts that Hassan presented to you. But we can certainly contact some of our colleagues and try to find that information for you. If you want more details, we can go through Amanda and Mike and Sadie. So we'll try to get you the information that we have on this topic.
And Amanda, I think they can send all their questions to the InfoStats, and then it does reach us through Amanda. So that's a great entry point into StatCan.
Sorry, Hassan. I'm just going to say it won't necessarily go to me because I'm not based in Calgary, but what's great about InfoStats is it'll come through InfoStats and it'll funnel it. So one of my colleagues out in the West would be able to answer that question. If it's related to industry and occupation from a census standpoint, I mean, the census has that kind of data. It just really depends. That's where our team, if it didn't follow within the scope of the CDP, our team would probe and find out what is exactly you need. Main question being, how are you using the data in the first place? And we would try our best to see if we have something that meets your needs. So yeah, just bounce an email at the InfoStat team and we can see what we can come up with.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Amanda. I learn something new every day, and it's from the regional offices that they can connect. That's great.
We have a question in the chat box before Mark. So that was a question is that what is the smallest standard geographic you need for which data is publicly available? Latitude and longitude data is not available, correct?
Yeah, XY coordinates are that long are not available, but the lowest level we'll publish at is DA, but there could be suppression, obviously, rounding of some type, suppression or rounding, depending on the situation. Does that fully answer your question? Yes, okay, perfect. Thanks a lot, David. Yeah. Sorry, I should have dissemination area. I'm assuming you know all the geography hierarchy. Forgive me.
And then Mark is that next one raised his hand, so please go ahead.
Hi, yeah, thanks. Hi, Hassan. Thanks very much for your great presentation. My name is Mark Hitzman, and I work with York Region. And this question is it's regarding employment surveys. A number of us, regional levels and probably across Canada, municipalities are doing employment surveys locally. And I'm just wondering if there's any chance your data set could be used to perhaps supplement or even replace such survey where you could get a listing of businesses by address with the number of employees that work there and other sort of details. Like, is that something that's even possible to investigate, or is it, are you allowed to release that kind of information? And then I guess I know there will be an issue in terms of timeliness because you mentioned it's all about tax filer data. So whether, the business may actually be closed physically, but the tax filing may happen for a year or two afterwards, which is unfortunate, but it would still be a really good proxy. So I'm just wondering if anything like that is that at all possible?
Yeah, unfortunately, under our current governance, and we're looking at the governance too. And we have a lot of data that would be very useful for many people outside of what we're allowed to give at this point. There's no promises. I'm not trying to make any promises, but I think we're revisiting this governance, and exactly and precisely this data could be very useful at the municipal level. We are unable to release it at this point. However, we do have survey programs aligned to employment and payroll deductions. Some are monthly, some are quarterly. And we also can put you in touch with another division, the one that was doing the intra-ownership. They actually publish some other surveys as well. So that could be something that could have some value. I think so, Mark. It's nice to meet you, but I think your question and what you're looking for, if you send it to info stats through Amanda's team, it'll reach the right people, and then with your questions, you can get all the support we can offer you.
That's
at
great.
this point in time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but it's a great question, and I can see exactly why you would see a benefit with the data that we talked about today, for sure. But we'll keep an eye out for you. I will. I know.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Great. Thank you, everyone. This is kind of the end of the presentation. If anyone has any other questions, please stay and we'll make sure your question will be responded. But other than that, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Shady. Thank you, Sadie. Thank you, Michael. Amanda, thanks for coordinating all this. And nice to meet everyone. Take care.